It's the most sexual opera that Strauss ever wrote. It's one of the most sexual operas ever written. An abused girl who becomes an abuser. It has so many Freudian themes running all the way through it that it seemed in many ways an injustice to the piece not to embrace that.
We started looking at sort of different imagery from the sort of turn of the century and sort of the time of Freud and the time of Strauss. And that sort of idea sort of just percolated from our research. You think about the turn of the century and I think of Vienna. I think of those sort of luscious panelled interiors, very masculine spaces. It's this incredible time of engineering, of the arts moving forward. It was a sort of blossoming, but also in retrospect, it was the beginning of a sort of dark period of world history.
Johannan, as a figure, is constantly positing the notion that the end of the world is nigh, that this complacent, self-satisfied world is about to go tumbling down. And his comments about that seem really apposite when it comes to thinking about the world just before World War I. We wanted to find a way of expressing a world that thought it was incredibly civilized, and so that we could then express to the audience a sense of a world where you go from that downwards to something that is the polar opposite of that.
What's been really good is actually now to be on stage and see how the cast and Daniel are sort of using the set really dynamically.
You can prepare as much as you like in the room. Leslie and I can sit there and think about the piece, and we can meet the singers and we can know the singers and imagine how it might be. But it's not till you actually get them in a room with the piano and start messing around in the rehearsal room with it that you start to realise that how it might realise itself. And then of course you add it to the set, and then a whole range of new problems and excitements emerge.
Well, Salome is unique because the leading lady, the soprano who sings the role of Salome, has to do a 10-minute dance. And then she has to basically, sing the most difficult music in the opera as a solo. This dance is unique because it's not just performative. Normally the dance is done for Herod and Herodias as a performance. And I've worked on other productions where we thought maybe Salome, this rich young girl, had dancing lessons and she's showing off, what a teenage girl might do in her bedroom to a Beyonce record now, right? This dance is different because it goes deep into Salome's thoughts and process. So a dance that's normally just performative, erotic, compelling in a sexual way, now all of a sudden has a new meaning and a new context.
You may or may not know the Freudian metaphor of the iceberg when it comes to the human psyche, but he posits this notion that on the surface we have the conscious thoughts, just below that the preconscious thoughts, and then right below that the unconscious thoughts, the unconscious desires and things that we can never really acknowledge are there. And what we are able to do, I think, in terms of this charting of a story that goes from civilization to something much more bestial, is to express a journey that goes down from the surface, which is the civilized part, down through something more uncertain to something that's absolutely terrifying at the core.
What's wonderful about working in opera, there's a whole other layer that goes on top of the process, and that's the music. And that for me is an absolute thrill. That's the powerhouse of making the work, is the music. And this music is just incredible.